Thank you everyone for being on this morning. So I work at the intersection of, trying to provide affordable housing and homeless housing so that we can address our homeless and housing crisis. So 161,000 people are homeless in the state of California, but as we've seen with many bills that have come out of Sacramento, SB 9 and 10 provide no requirement for homeless housing and also no requirement for affordable housing, despite the fact that we did lobby both authors to have those provisions put into the bills. Once more, as they did last year, the year before, they have ignored that. And for me, it's quite baffling given the fact that we have hundreds of thousands of renters, really about 365,000 across the state, who can't pay their rent, who are behind on rent. That doesn't mean they can't pay all of their rent, but a lot of them can't pay some of their rent. And given that, for me, it's quite shocking that one of the largest bills, two of the largest bills, I should say, the housing bills that are coming out of Sacramento, again, don't have any provisions for people who are lower income. And so this is kind of the intersection of my work comes into play with some of these bills. And this is just obviously, as you know, a new iteration of SB 50, AB 1120. So we're just, consistently every single year, basically saying that we're going to house the housed, the people who are already housed, and not folks who are either unhoused or folks who can't afford it. And so this was the argument that we made to the LA County Democratic Party. So both of these bills came up at the California Democratic Party. SB 10 failed in committee. SB 9 got onto the floor where we pulled it and we made these points, both about affordable housing and homeless housing, but also the impact that SB 9 and 10 have on communities of color specifically. So I work in an anti-gentrification coalition. I'm part of this group. And there's a lot of talk about how difficult it has been for communities of color to achieve home ownership, right? Through education, through, savings, particularly people in Black and Brown communities were able to achieve home ownership against all odds for some of them. And now they feel like they are going to be targeted by developers, right? By predatory developers who are going to come in, knock down their homes, and then turn a lot of people in their communities, either price them out of their neighborhoods, right, which will lead to gentrification, or turn their community into a permanent renter class, while folks who are in more affluent communities then may not see this type of, targeting of building. And we've seen this, we saw this in 2008 during the housing crisis, where Invitation Homes came in and they bought up a lot of these homes in South LA, which they will now likely knock down to turn into multifamily housing. Right. So this is a problem, and this problem was iterated to all of the authors. And somehow we still did not get, protections for low-income communities of color, or, an agreement to require homeless housing and affordable housing. So this is kind of where we find ourselves.